have you ever just stopped and wondered, why is our society set up the way it is? I mean, who makes the rules? And more importantly, who really benefits from them? Well, today we're diving into sociology, the science that actually dares to ask those exact questions. We're going to uncover how it was born from total chaos, what it really does, and how it gives us this powerful new lens to see the hidden forces that shape pretty much everything in our world.
So here's how we'll tackle this. First, we're going to jump back in time to see the incredible turmoil that actually created this new science. Then we'll nail down a really clear definition of what sociology even is. After that, we're opening up the sociologist's toolkit to see how they do what they do. And to wrap it all up, we've got a little pro tip that connects all of this to the world of law. And it might just change how you see things.
All right, part one, a world in turmoil. Because, to really get sociology, you have to understand the absolute crisis that made it so necessary in the first place.
I want you to imagine for a second that the very foundations of your life, we're talking your job, your family, the government, your whole sense of place in the world, just suddenly started to crumble. That feeling of complete and utter chaos, that is exactly what gave birth to sociology.
See, sociology wasn't born in some quiet, dusty library. No way. It was forged in the fire of three massive, world-changing revolutions. First up, you had the Enlightenment, which started questioning centuries of tradition. Then bam, the French Revolution comes along and literally overthrows the entire old order of kings and nobles. And on top of all that, the Industrial Revolution completely rewires society, sucking people into these huge, booming, and often chaotic cities. As one of our sources puts it, the social ground trembled under people's feet. The old rulebook was just gone, and nobody had any idea what the new one was supposed to look like. And so, out of this profound uncertainty, this mix of, incredible hope and just deep anxiety, a whole new way of thinking emerged. So that brings us to part two. What is sociology? Well, in short, it was a brand new tool designed specifically to make sense of all that chaos. At its very heart, I think the best way to think about sociology is like a giant mirror that we hold up to ourselves, to society. It's this systematic, scientific way of looking at our culture, our relationships, our institutions, all of it. And it's all designed to help us understand this incredibly complex and, let's be honest, often confusing world we built.
And the name itself pretty much tells the story. It's a mashup of the Latin word socius, which means companion or associate, and the Greek word logos, which means the science or study of something. So you put them together, and what do you get? The science of society. The science of our life together.
Now, the guy who first came up with that name was Auguste Comte, and he had this incredibly bold vision. He was convinced that society wasn't just some random, chaotic mess. No, he believed it operated according to fixed, discoverable laws, just like physics or biology, and he made it his mission to go out and find them.
Then along came another pioneer, Emile Durkheim, and he kind of sharpened the focus a bit. He said, look, if you really want to understand society, you have to look at its social institutions. These are the big, powerful structures, like family, religion, and the government, that basically act as the glue holding everything and everyone together.
And this leads us to a really simple but, I think, super powerful definition from Kingsley Davis. Sociology is a general science of society. And that word general is key. It means it's not just looking at one piece of the puzzle, like economics or politics. No, it's about seeing how all of those different pieces connect to create the whole big picture. Okay, so we know why it started, and we have a good idea of what it is, but how do sociologists actually do it? How do they study the world? Let's move on to part three and open up the sociologist's toolkit.
And let me tell you, the scope here is just massive. Sociologists study everything from our most intimate family relationships to the entire global economy. They dig into crime and religion, race, and social class. They're asking these huge, fundamental questions like, why do some societies stick together while others just completely fall apart? I mean, basically, if it involves people interacting with each other, you can bet a sociologist is studying it somewhere.
And this really gets at what makes sociology so unique. It doesn't just operate in its own little bubble. Think of it more like an umbrella science. It takes all of these amazing insights from history, from economics, from psychology, from political science, and it brings them all together under one roof to create a much richer, more complete picture of how society actually works.
And to do this incredible work, sociologists mainly use two different approaches. On one hand, you have the qualitative approach. This is all about getting deep understanding, using tools like interviews and observations to answer the big question, why? On the other hand, you've got the quantitative approach, which uses large-scale data, surveys, and statistics to find patterns and answer the question, how many? And the real magic of sociology? It happens when you combine both of these powerful ways of seeing.
All right, for our final section, let's get practical. Let's connect all this to the real world with a pro tip. This is the so what part. We're going to take our new sociological lens and apply it to one of the most powerful institutions there is, the law.
Now check this out. This is a really fascinating idea from the source material. It totally reframes how we think about what law even is. It suggests that law isn't just about, punishing people who do bad things. It's actually a powerful tool for actively shaping society. From this point of view, legal professionals aren't just reading rules from a book, they're social engineers.
And right here is where the true value of sociology becomes crystal clear. Let's just take the issue of crime. Okay, a legal perspective tends to focus on the what. What law was broken? What's the right punishment? But the sociological perspective asks that deeper question. Why? It zooms out to look at the whole context, at things like poverty, inequality, and power structures. It forces us to ask questions not just about the individual crime, but about the entire system of laws itself, and whose interests that system really serves.
So here's the bottom line. Sociology hands us a new lens. If the law gives us the official rules for the game of society, then sociology is the tool that lets us step back and ask the really tough questions. Who wrote these rules? Who do they actually benefit? It helps us see the hidden power dynamics that are always at play. And ultimately, it lets us ask the most important question of all. Who's really winning the game?